the investment was, we were still in the red and we're losing money because we're operating. We're still trying to figure our way through this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a point in time when I was making sales on my own in the back of my Toyota Matrix, 2002 Toyota Matrix, driving around Daly City. I was broke, dead broke. I mean, exhausted, my credit limits exhausted. I had no more savings. I was no longer getting paid a salary through the business. And I remember this very vividly. I was out in Daly City trying to make sales to liquor stores, not bottle shops, but liquor stores with money, what do you call that, those money gram places.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, but I guess we reposition the story here. I was at a gas station trying to find my way home. During this route, I was actually, I ran out of gas. I was on empty, completely exhausted my funds, stretched out my credit limits. Very embarrassing time in my life. But I had bought cases of Limbanose in the back of my truck, my Matrix. And I went to the gas station, couldn't even fill up my gas because I was declined. And so I said, "Oh shit! I'm broke." So the only way that I could get home was I gotta offload these cases. And so I said I wasn't able to really make any sales. I mean, some of them were consignment throughout that day. I agreed to consignment. And anyways, long story short, I said, I'm a really low place, and I was able to sell some cases to these liquor stores, and that is what funded my gas to drive home. A very sad time, going home, and I think in the process of building a business, you never really, when planning it out, you never really plan out those things, but I got to experience it firsthand, and it was hard, very hard time.
Yeah.
And so I think what I take from that is that I always look back and think back to those times because that's probably one of the worst times that this business has seen. And although there's ups and downs, there's a lot of lows when you build a business, but that was definitely a big low point. And seeing where we're at now and getting emails from UK and Australia and India, and it's oh gosh, you really can, if you stick to it, you can learn something. And,
absolutely.
And build it. And so it just took a long time, because like I said earlier, you can't really build it unless you know yourself, and I don't think I didn't know who I was, and I think that kind of reflected in the brand itself, and then you get going through the light, and we got a lot of support from the community, showing support for for our brand, because we represent a part of their a part of who they are. And so I think this is definitely an important part of the story that I actually never really get to tell. So to me, maybe it's more of a personal thing, but I think a lot of business owners can relate to it.
Absolutely.
The struggle, from very bottom, and then rising. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's more parts of the story that I can't even go into maybe in general. I think one of our first events was at the Philippine Consulate back in 2014, are acknowledging us. And
so getting into Seafood City that was one of the big things. Are there any other big sales moments, contracts, that you think might be?
Bedmo, big one for us.
How did that?
Actually, I think that happened after our 2014 win at the San Francisco World Grades Competition. We presented that, and actually, we had interest, not only, so we got into Bedmo, but we had interest from Wine Warehouse. We had meetings with Southern, who actually was going to bring us into this new portfolio of craft cocktails, because I think craft was our distilled brands or spirits, because that's when craft just started emerging, and I think they saw a trend, and we were going to be part of that portfolio. But when I don't know where this plays in the whole scheme of the story, but I'm just going to add it in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We won the double gold, and so all the double gold winners were invited to do this tour across the country, and do events. And so we got to meet a bunch of different brand owners, and got to speak with them. And some of them actually had worked with Southern, and they said, it sounds appealing right now, but you're going to get drowned out in the portfolio. It has happened to us. It happened to this other brand that we're connected with, blah blah. And so, by this time we already had met Southern many times, like in person. They attended our events. One of the big ones we had in 2014 was this Savor Filipino. It's SAVOR, Savor Filipino, and that actually was a big event for the community because it celebrated, Filipino food. But it was like in downtown San Francisco. And brought in like, I don't even know how many people, but it was a kind of a turning point in terms of defining who we are as a brand, because that's when Ramar Foods had noticed us, and the Filipino food movement noticed us, and even the Philippine Department of Tourism, the head of the Philippine Department of Tourism, called us to work with them on that project for the Savor Filipino, and that's when they actually dubbed, officially actually, dubbed Infanta the cocktail in the Philippines. But I think that's more of like a marketing play for the event. Thing. But anyway. I don't even know what I'm trying to get at here. Maybe what I'm saying is, like, I'm proud that we've kind of came into this thing without, with no other point of reference, and now
that how does, or I guess more so the coconut setup sourcing, how does that go in terms of, is that a separate person who does the collection of or separate entity that does the collection of the farming aspect and the distillation aspect, or is that all kind of one entity?
Yeah. So when we do our run, it comes from different sources. It's not just one entity.
Okay.
Not one farm. There are multiple producers for the liquid.
Okay. And then for so then